Jaman, Jarastafari, man. Well, you know how we do it, man. We speak it, man. We believe it, man. We put it to faith, man. But here's the truth back onto YouTube for now, man. You know, man, well, as the story always went, Rastafari was going to be, well, a way of life that lived and saw something different in life, man. For some of you don't know me by name, man. I have an interesting story, man. I have three different names. One name I was born with, one name I was given by adoption, and another name I got by, a nickname from my friends back in the day. The people that I used to be friends with. You see, man, Rastafari is something, I live for. It's something, I believe in for a reason, man. And people are gonna know me as, Astamoke at the end of the day, man. You see, man, I was born in San Diego, man. And, my story is something that's gonna, bring forth why I'm, share my work on marijuana, and while marijuana is something I believe in. You see, my story goes as I was born an addict, man, and I believe it to be my truth to share as my faith of Rastafari that marijuana is the cure to addiction, man. You see, my biological birth mother she was a diagnosed schizophrenic, but people don't really understand what schizophrenia is. And part of my YouTube is to begin to share what schizophrenia really is, and how people can begin to understand what schizophrenia really is. My biological birth mother she was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and she at the time of my birth she denied her pregnancy. And she didn't, she told the doctors there was no way she could be pregnant. You see, I found it peculiar because, how could a woman not know? How could a woman not know she was pregnant? And I had to see something different in my story. My biological mother, as I digged into my birth files, I recognized that my biological mother was, she was a crystal meth smoker, and addiction had the best of her. As I grew older in life, through elementary school and high school, I realized one thing. I realized that I wasn't always there, man. And I always realized that I had ADD. And as some people know, ADD, attention deficit disorder, is common in our children in this day and age. And people don't really understand the true history and the true science behind what ADD, attention deficit disorder, and ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. The truth is, I'm someone that never got prescribed any ADD medication until very late in life when I prescribed it. I went to a psychiatrist to get it prescribed myself as an adult. And I don't believe in Adderall, I don't believe in Ritalin, I don't believe in any stimulants for a reason. I'm a recovering cocaine addict, and I've been clean for about a year and a half. The truth is, I believe that I was born with a mind that can never see and focus in the manner of a normal person's mind. Um, and I never got to be able and the capacity to learn to the extent of normal people's thinking and skills. It's something I've battled. I was always an average, below average student, and I passed school by a hair. And I came to be a college dropout because I turned to my marijuana, and marijuana was something I found peace in. The truth is, schizophrenia is something it's another part of my work that I'm gonna give my point of view, and I'm gonna give my work to it as well, to allow people that are in the fields of psychology and psychiatry to really understand that schizophrenia is a mental illness that is directly correlated back to uh, uh, substance abuse. Mine being crystal meth in my biological genetics, passing over to my genealogy, and leading me to a proneness to having a substance abuse and an addiction to cocaine, which in the realms of drugs would be a step down from crystal meth addiction. The truth is, I mean, I can't come in here and begin to uh, give my perspective and give my thoughts without giving my true heart and saying that addiction is something that I believe, it is a choice. People choose to do drugs and people choose to create their life and how they want to create their life, and they live their life how they want to live their life. But do you hold one choice against a man or a woman in their life to say you don't deserve the life anyone else could be able to live? And that's where Rastafari means the world to me, man, and how people are going to learn that, well, Rastafari is something that people can live a different life of, well, a medicine that says it's better than the latter. You see, man, it's my mind that believes that Rastafari is a way of life of evolution that says people are going to accept marijuana as, well, a medicine in well, an extent of, well, broad realms of things. The truth is, marijuana isn't, well, it isn't it isn't a drug in a sense of synthetics, and it isn't a drug of, of harm. It's a natural plant, and I truly believe it to be homeopathic. And there's no reason why this plant isn't classified as a homeopathic medicine. It grows from the plant, and it has no ill harm on it. Does it have effect to the mind? Of course, it has effect to the mind, and anybody would be able to tell you that. But if it has a relief and it has a medicinal value to it, it should be proven to the world that marijuana is a cure for things that could lead to more harmful drugs and more side effects. The truth is, I've battled with schizophrenia and I've battled with cocaine addiction, and I made a life choice to smoke crystal meth once in my life, and I smoked crystal meth once with a homeboy down near my hometown, and it was an encounter I chose over the old familiar saying that alcohol is the gateway drug, and my decision making was made over alcohol. And but at the same time, I still had the mind that I didn't want to go down that road. I did it for a reason because I wanted to experience what my birth mother, my biological mother's addiction was. And if anyone's seen the Breaking Bad TV show, it kind of plays it down on crystal meth is probably the most evil addiction in the world, and, well, it's probably the highest high you can get. Um, these videos are to give drug talk, but it's to give insight on, I'm not here to support cocaine. I'm not here to support meth. I'm not here to support heroin. I'm not here to support LSD. I'm not here to support psilocybin mushrooms. I'm here to give, well, if anyone have watched Newer Soup, the lady that gave her life unto um, research of drugs and psychedelics. That is my point of frame in mind, and to allow people to know someone who's been, so they say, down the rabbit hole, what it's like to experience these things. Um, the truth is, you know, I'm still I'm still who I am and still who I know to be, but psychedelic drugs have their effect on their minds. And on my last video, I mentioned that marijuana was, well, it is classified psychoactive, and I took it to the extent of calling it a psychedelic. And the truth is, well, it is a psychedelic. It's mind manifesting, but it's a psychedelic that I truly believe is the only one that's safe to say that it's medicinal. As I go through these videos, there's other things going on in psychedelic studies that say MDMA is another psychoactive chemical that can be therapeutic. Um, I've done more than a fair share of ecstasy in my life, and I know its ways and what it can lead to people to think. Minds like Timothy Leary and Alexander Shulgin were very fond of this chemical for a reason, because it brought peace and it brought perspective to the mind. I believe the same therapy that's been clinically uh, uh, studied and put into trial and error can be treated over marijuana, and marijuana should be the way. And marijuana should be the looked upon substance that really has the medicinal value to it, and that's what I'm going to stick to. As I'll touch on MDMA in the future, I don't promote its use. I know that it has detrimental effects to the mind, and I know it has its its way. It's not something to live upon. It's something to know upon, and that's all you need to know about MDMA. As as we go through marijuana, I'm relaying a psychiatry. I'm gonna theoretically put in perspective as the substitution method, and this is a scientific theory that addiction can be treated through substitution of substance, and that if you were to put an addict on marijuana, they would have a safe addiction, and there's no reason why our world can't accept that. If that man or woman has gone through cocaine or alcoholism or heavy crystal meth or heavy heroin addiction, there's no reason to give them something that says, well, if that brings them peace, man, they should be able to allow that for it, man. The truth is, I live in a day and age where the legalization of marijuana is going to lead something in our world, and I'm going to teach it. Well, I'm going to teach it in the sense of people are going to learn what it's really about. Marijuana is on the brink of legalization in California, and well, the truth is, I can't deny it. And the truth is, well, marijuana is, well, supposedly ran by cops in Colorado. And the truth is, well, there's two ways of doing things in the world, man. And the truth is, we can have a company called, well, Blue Light, and, well, they are a third-party organization in Colorado that, well, identifies themselves as a private organization, a private armed security organization that runs marijuana to the legal clubs. As this is one option, it's all the coincidence of irony of now we have ex-police officers working for these organizations, on where, as in California, it's still medical, and, well, it's not ran that way. The truth to my videos are going to be an insight of a way of supporting the legalization of marijuana, but doing it in a sense of, well, allow it for it to be an occupation, and allow it for it to be, well, what the Rastaman believes, man, and that's their medicine, man. You see, man, the truth is, I'm just a man of the world that's seen things, well, I'd rather not, you know, I don't need to say. The world is wicked in its ways, and people have their deceit, and the truth is, well, why do we live in a world where cops are now going to run marijuana? That's what's going on in Colorado. The truth is, now I'm looking and doing research in California, and in California, well, we're looking at a proposition hitting the ballot in 2016. And in 2016, marijuana is being prophesized as fully legalization. And High Times just gave way to an article saying lawmakers are trying to classify bills. And as the article spoke itself in initiation, in the beginning of it, it spoke upon classifying bills to regulate medicinal marijuana, to put bills of law on how marijuana should be ran medicinally. As in the end of the article, it hinted that these classification of new bills that are being presented were going to be laws that put classifications on how fully legalized marijuana would be uh, uh, regulated. So I have no insight on what lawmakers are expecting for 2016. But I wouldn't be able to deny the fact that if the way our voting went and it was true voting, and they actually casted ballots and they actually counted votes, that they would be looking for an uprising of legalization in California. And it would be very peculiar to see a deniance in California once we've already seen a legalization in Colorado and in Oregon. People would be they'd be struck upon awe on why California didn't get legalized. And I think one way or the other, we're going to see something that proves that it should be a legal support of marijuana in California in 2016. Now, how are things going to be ran? Because the way they're ran right now is it's a cat and mouse game. We go to state law and we play it off state law, but state law is now broken upon county law. And depending on what county law, county officials can force law differently. So in the San Diego County, you could have dispensaries being ran in Pacific Beach fully legal with no issues, as if you traveled to North County and Oceanside in a different city, cops would be fining owners of marijuana shops 6 figures to put them out of business. And it makes no sense. And I think the state is fed up with it because it's a battle they can't win, because there's money so invested in it, they're always going to pop up. And I think they're going to take it to the regulation of state law, and they're going to fully legalize it, and they're going to put third-party, private, armed organization behind it, and it's going to put flags upon ex-police officers that are now drug smuggling. As where we could take the ganja grower and the mom that believes in the plant, that grows in the plant at home, to grow the plant and to distribute to the club, instead of having mass distribution of warehouse that has to be armed by ex-police officers in case if there's criminal organization that wants to rob. People need to think and people need to speak up that we want legalization for our medicine, man, but we want it to be treated as, well, the respect to a plant, man. We don't want gun warfare over a plant that stands for peace, man. And that's where my mind is speaking from this day on, man. So I think I've painted the picture, and well, I'm going to leave Amsterdam out of the picture right now, but I'm going to touch on my next video of how it's being treated in Amsterdam and how it's more of a nightmare out there, man. And how in the United States, let's legalize it on the state level. And, there's no reason it can't go federally, but if we want to take it step by step through the state, we can do that, man. But we need to fully legalize this, man, and we need a right bill and proposition that allows for growing marijuana to be a private occupation. And if you want to put that to independent contracting, you can still file taxes on the plant, man. And you don't have to, well, you would still be greedy on my way of life, man. So just know, man, there's no reason to corporatize marijuana when, we had policemen that were against it. Now they tossed their badge and kept their, P22 or whatever they're carrying, man. And all I gotta say, man, it's getting stupid, man. The truth is, we need to feel for, I don't even know guns, P90, it is what it is, man. The truth is, I don't understand why we need to treat this plant like it's, smuggling cocaine into our country, man. It's not. So if we write law, we need to know our law, and, I want lawmakers to take attention and take note, man. So people spread this video, man. We want law written aloud to allow marijuana to be grown and licensed, so we can have licensed growers that will sell the plant back to medicinal clubs. So now you have a man or a woman who wants to be a ganja grower, who has a license to grow the plant, who knows how to grow the plant, and if the government wants to regulate it, they can still regulate the income based off independent contraction through, the grower to the who would be the seller to the club, and the club would be the buyer to the grower, and there could be paperwork through transaction that can be reported to the government. We do not need to create mass distribution. We don't need a Costco of marijuana and ex-police officers with guns in front of the place. Wake up and just live, man. All I got to say, Rastafari, pass the video on, man. I'm telling you, man, I'm just beginning, man. You already know. Rastafari was for the kids, man.